and welcome to another edition of Osceola Chat. My name is Pat Burnham, and I'm joined today by the publisher of the Osceola, Jerry Cutts, and the managing editor of the Osceola, Bob Ferrante. And our special guest today is FSU linebacker coach, defensive end coach, John Papuchis, who we will call Coach JP, so I do not butcher his name. But, Coach, welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join us and visit with us for a little bit. And obviously, we want to get started. Coach, you're at home in Maryland. I don't know that most of our fans know this, but you are in Maryland with your family who has not moved to Tallahassee yet. But what are you and your family doing while you're sheltering in place? And from a personal standpoint, what's been the upside as a father and a husband to having this time at home?
Well, so the first week I was back, it was our spring break, so that was kind of a downtime, and we were able to just kind of relax and spend some time as a family. The last couple of weeks, 8, 9, 10 days now, we've been back at it. We've been spending a lot of our time as a staff doing our virtual meetings and trying to be as efficient as we possibly can. But I'm glad I'm here. Really, one of the things that has been a positive for us as a family and all this is, as you said, I got 5 little ones here, and whether it's between what I'm doing with football or my son's baseball or hockey or ballet or the school plays or all the things my daughters are involved in, we don't have a lot of time where the 7 of us are just together, and this has provided that opportunity for us to kind of quiet our lives down a little bit and just kind of be together. And obviously it's not the ideal situation for anyone in the country right now, but you do try to find the positives in everything, and that is certainly one of them.
Well, Coach, what's the girl-boy breakdown in the house?
I got 3 girls and 2 boys. The oldest is a 12-year-old girl who does lacrosse and the school musical and volleyball, and so she's always active. And then my son is the next one up at 10 years old, who's the baseball hockey guy. And I have an 8-year-old daughter that does ballet, a 5-year-old girl, and a 9-month-old boy.
Well, so we're probably working harder now than you would be if you were in Tallahassee at the office.
There's probably no question about that, but I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad, I'm sure my wife is happy that, she at least gets a little bit of help with me at home right now.
Sure she is. Well, Coach, obviously you've been at several different schools, including LSU, Nebraska, North Carolina, among some others. Who have been the biggest influences on your career as a coach and how your coaching style and your philosophy as a coach?
I mean, I've been really lucky in my career to be around some really, really great coaches. I would say it probably starts with Bo Pelini. He was the one that really, I would say, took a chance on me, really invested a lot in me and taught me a lot over the course of time. I was his graduate assistant and kind of his right-hand guy at LSU. And when he became the head coach in Nebraska, he brought me along with him, and eventually I became his defensive coordinator there. So Bo obviously has been hugely influential and impactful in my career. But I would have to say, Coach Saban, Coach Muschamp, definitely Gene Chizik, Larry Fedora. They've all impacted me in different ways. And you try to take a little bit of the best of all their styles and philosophies and try to create your own version of how you see things going. But I've been really blessed to have some really, really great coaches around me.
Well, you mentioned Coach Saban and Bo Pelini, both, at least from a public perspective, when you watch them on the field, very intense guys. What are 1 or 2 things about those guys that would surprise the average fan that you don't see behind the scenes?
Both of them have a tremendous sense of humor. I mean, like, away from, the cameras and microphones and just kind of in the staff room, they're both funny guys. I mean, Bo, I worked for Coach Saban for only a short amount of time, but I can tell you, Bo, the perception of who he is versus the reality of who he is every day with his family and his friends couldn't be more polar opposite. I mean, he's a big-hearted guy who likes to laugh and have fun. and who also is an intense competitor. And I think the public gets to see the intense competitor part a lot, but doesn't realize that there's a genuinely great human being behind that.
Okay. Coach, you had 12 days of tour duty workouts with your position group and 3 days of spring practice. What stood out to you about the defensive ends and the special teams units, and what are you most excited about getting back to the field with those guys?
Generally, I think the thing that has me the most excited is the mindset and approach that our guys had throughout the whole course of this transition. Change isn't an easy thing for a player. You got, a lot of these guys that are on their third and fourth head coach. If you're counting Coach Odell's stint as an interim head coach there. And that's not easy to keep having new position coaches and new coordinators and new head coaches. And all they've done since the time that Coach Norvell and our staff has been here is embraced everything. And, worked and bought in and tried to do the things the way we've asked them to do it. And, that's all you can really ask of a group. And I was really seeing a lot of progress. I would think if you ask the other coaches, they'd feel the same way. And it's kind of a shame that we have to take a little bit of a pause here, but when we get back rolling, hopefully we pick up right where we left off.
Coach, in your tenure as a former player and a coach, back in not too long ago, we would send players home for the summer, and then they would come back, and there would be these extended periods where they were kind of unsupervised. Did you experience any of that as a player?
No, I was kind of I've been in the day and age of the all summer workouts. And, I've never been away, and no matter what I was doing, whether it was baseball or football, I've kind of been a 12-month-a-year guy.
So this is completely different for you to adjust and adapt to.
Yeah. This is totally different, in every way. We're so rhythmic and everything we do from a coaching perspective of, what is supposed to be happening every time, every part of the year. To have this is just, in 20 years, this is my 20th year of coaching college football. Other than the little break that we took maybe for 2 days surrounding 9/11, I don't remember a time where we were off work unexpectedly. And it's just the new reality that we're all having to deal with.
Let me ask you about that. You can have some contact with your players. I'm going to ask you about what are the things you're most concerned about with the contact that you do have with them? What are the things you're trying to have your antenna up for? And then what's the downside of this? And obviously we probably know what that is, but what's the upside of this with your players, the player interaction?
I think the thing that probably concerns me more than anything is the academic piece. These guys, are used to having a very structured regimen in terms of whether when they're in their study halls, when they're in their classes, when they're getting all their work done. And, although we're trying to simulate that as well as we possibly can, we're relying on these guys being, able to handle their business, and not just a want to factor, but just the technology to be able to handle everything that they need to handle, doing all their work remotely. And then, to answer your question about what the positive is, I think it gives you an opportunity, and it's what I've tried to do with my family, to just quiet things down a little bit, take a step back, not be so consumed with all of the information that's coming in from every direction 24/7. Spend a little bit more time having family dinner, a little bit more time sitting around talking with the kids, and try to really invest in some quality time together, because so often that gets kind of put on the back burner. And hopefully we can all come out of this with a little bit more gratitude and a little bit better perspective. All of a sudden you get things taken away from you that you've never really thought about ever being taken away from you. It makes you really have some gratitude for those things that you took for granted. I never thought there would be a day we didn't get to watch the NCAA tournament. I never really thought about it. The Masters, opening day of baseball. Those are just things that happen every year. And then all of a sudden they're not there, and it makes you realize how lucky you were when they were. You just didn't realize it.
So the conversations you're having with players, what can you characterize them? What are they like?
More than anything is making sure they're okay. Each one of them will come from a different background, different situation. I want to make sure they have enough to eat. I want to make sure that they have a place to do their work. Make sure that they have a place to do their workouts. Just try to help them keep some structure as best we can, even though we're from a distance. And biggest thing is let them know we care about them. Make sure that they're making good decisions and staying safe and keeping themselves out of harm's way. And I know there's been a lot of talk about how some of this virus hasn't affected younger generation people, but that doesn't mean you're not going to impact somebody else if you have it. So just making sure they're making good decisions as best they can and taking care of themselves.
Coach, how are you guys? Are you guys as a staff still meeting as a special teams and installing and implementing and reviewing game film and what you want to do?
Yeah. So, really we haven't varied too far off of what our schedule would be if we were all there. We still have our special team staff meetings. We still have our recruiting meetings. We still have, our defensive and offensive staff meetings. So, from that perspective, it's kind of been a seamless transition for us. It's just kind of a different way to go about it. But, everyone's been great. We have a great support network back in Tallahassee. I got to give a shout out to Austin Phillips, who does our video, who really helped us all make this pretty seamless, because for a bunch of football coaches, some of which aren't super technologically savvy, this has really worked out really well.
Coach, I know we talked maybe a couple of months ago about you got into special teams, I think at LSU, and then you were on the Nebraska staff, and I think Coach Pelini was kind of trying to figure out who could lead the special teams there. And can you tell us a little bit about maybe falling in love with that segment and the importance of coaching that group and the impact it can have on a college football game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it starts with where, other than the head coach, really as a special teams coordinator, you're the only one that ever has the full team in front of you. And I think that's a really cool way that you have the ability to impact, the team and their mindset. And then go along with that, there's so many ways that you can impact the game in a positive way with how you play special teams. It allows you to control field position. It allows you to create momentum. It allows you to score points. And, I've been fortunate to have some really good special teams players in my career. And, it's just, it becomes evident, pretty quick that if you take advantage of the weapons you have, you can really impact and change games. And, if it's 2 or 3 games a season that you have a huge impact on, that could mean all the difference in the world.
Coach, I know one thing is our subscribers would like to listen, and you may not be able to tell us, but Florida State was not very aggressive in the kickoff return game. They fair called a lot of the kickoffs last year. Will you guys utilize the athletes that you have in the kickoff return game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem talking about that. They both Coach Norvell, and obviously it all starts with him, but both he and my philosophy is very similar on that. I think if you went back over the last 3 or 4 years and combined when I was in charge of special teams in the last 3 or 4 years of him being a head coach, I think we've had something like a combined 13 or 14 returns for touchdowns. I this past year we had 2 or 3. We had 3 of them over 80 yards at the place I was just at, 2 of which went for touchdowns, and I think they had 4 at Memphis. So, it's something we believe in. We want people to, every time they kick it deep to us, to have the fear that we have a chance to take it to the house. And, just having that as a weapon is a huge part of what we believe in.
I do have a follow-up question to that. I've been around football my entire life, but I have never seen a team that lined up in special teams with boxing gloves on to catch the football in the return game. Can you explain where you learned that and the reason that you do that with your returners?
Well, so that's a good question. So Coach Yak, who's Coach Johnson, and Coach Norvell are both very heavily involved in the fundamentals of what we're doing from a return perspective. But really one of the reasons for the boxing gloves is we want to make sure that when we catch it, we're not hand catching, if that makes any sense. Like as a wide receiver, you want to catch the ball with your hands. As a returner, there's an element of that, but you also want to use your body to be able to trap the ball, so to speak. And one of the reasons for the boxing gloves is to get you out of the ability to just hand catch it. And it forces you to tuck it into your body. And, it's just different tools. You're going to see us with squirt guns out there and tennis balls that we throw at them as they're trying. It's just different ways, because probably the one thing that's the most difficult thing to simulate is what it's like to catch a punt in front of 90,000 people. That's a lot easier said than done, and something that gets taken for granted until you don't catch it. And we try to put them in as many stressful situations as we possibly can to reinforce that skill.
Yeah, I don't think many people understand how hard it is to catch a punt in front of nobody, let alone 9,000 people.
With 11 dudes running down at you, trying to knock your head off.
Yeah.
It's a tough skill set.
It takes a special person, there's no doubt. Coach, we did want to talk to you about some on the field, off the field things and have some fun with you, but I do want to take you back in what had to be a great memory for you, but not so much for us as FSU graduates. In 2016, your defense came in here and at North Carolina, and you walked out of Doak Campbell Stadium with a 37-35 win over FSU. You had a great year that year, North Carolina. Kind of tell us what that was like for you as a coach and you guys as a team to walk out of Doak Campbell. North Carolina had not had much success and hasn't had much success against Florida State.
No, I mean, that was one of those, games, moments that, no matter how long you coach, you'll never forget about it. It was kind of a weird game. I don't know how much of it you remember specifically, but really for the most part, North Carolina was in control of the game until probably halfway into the third quarter, and we had a roughing the punter penalty. And it allowed a drive when North Carolina was winning maybe 21-7. It allowed a drive to continue. And we kind of lost the momentum in the football game there. And then obviously, Florida State scoring with 30 seconds left, you kind of think that this one's done. And, we were fortunate enough to make a couple plays. And then, Nick Weiler was the kicker. And, one thing about Nick was, he's one of the toughest kickers I've ever been around, and mentally and physically. And there was really never a question of whether he could make it or not. But obviously, that situation is such a, the pressure and everything surrounds it. But when he made it, I wasn't shocked, and it was one of those things I'll never forget. And now I'm super excited to be on the other side of it, though.
And we hope that you're walking off that field the next time you're on it with a win, too. So
there's no question.
All right, Coach, we're going to have a little bit of fun with you. Obviously, we're all quarantined, and if you could pick any people outside of your immediate family, and over the course of history, three people that you could be quarantined with, who would they be?
Oh, man. Now that one's a hard one that's going to get me in trouble, so I'm going to keep it straight and narrow on this one. If I could pick three people to be quarantined outside my immediate family.
Living or passed away.
Living or passed away. Ooh. I don't even know where to go with that one. Can we come back to that one? Let me think about that one for a second.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Right. Now, I don't think that you probably have a lot of time for Netflix and Amazon, given the 5 children. But what was the last Netflix or Amazon show that you watched or binge watched?
Tiger King, absolutely.
And who was your favorite character in Tiger King?
Oh, favorite character.
Our favorite person in Tiger King. Who made it most
I'd have to
interesting?
go with, I mean, the most like interesting character got to be Joe Exotic to me, but I don't know favorite, but I think they're all kind of crazy. But it's a whole world I never knew anything about, and it's kind of interesting.
I watched it too, and I did not know. Now, will you go to Big Cat Rescue in Tampa where we can travel again?
I might, but I gotta admit, I have not been. What's her name, Carol or something? I've not.
Carol
been a
Baskin.
fan. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, so I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I think we probably both agree on where that's going. Okay, give us a couple of your favorite bands.
Oh, favorite bands. All right, full disclosure, okay? I'm probably the oldest 40-year-old that you know, okay? So I listen to a lot of talk radio, but if I was going to go favorite bands, that was going to take me back into like my childhood. So I was a Guns N' Roses guy for sure. I was a Metallica guy for sure. Let's see, Bon Jovi. I would have to go with those three as my favorite three bands.
Who's your favorite talk show host? You mentioned you like talk radio.
If it's a sports talk radio, I was always a Mike and Mike guy. I was sad that show kind of disappeared. But Tony Kornheiser is kind of my guy, which is a little bit more of a local DC flair, although he has a national persona. Tony Kornheiser is probably my favorite guy.
Now, I like his ESPN show. I watch that religiously.
Yeah.
I remember being in a press box at Maryland with Tony Kornheiser just holding court. I mean, he had a comment on everything during the game.
He is, he's not lacking opinions, is he?
None.
Coach, you've seen some great football players over your coaching career, both coaching them and playing against them. Who's the best football player you've ever coached or coached against in your career?
Best one ever coached.
Or coached against?
Ooh, I was going to start with best one ever coached.
Okay.
Was definitely Ndamukong Suh to this point. I have never had a guy that could dominate a game the way that he could. He could totally take it over. Probably the best one coached against. That's a good one. I'll go with Tim Tebow was obviously really good. Vince Young, Ricky Williams. I'll go Ricky Williams.
Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to circle back to the Tiger King.
Right.
If danger was out of the equation, what animal would you choose to have as a pet? If you got any animal, danger free.
I think I'm more of a lion guy, but the tigers have been kind of interesting to me on the show.
So we'll see you petting some cubs sometime soon.
I saw a thing like I didn't realize that you could buy them for $2,000. If I had known that, we might have gotten one.
I didn't either. All right, guys, you got anything for Coach? Off the field?
I'm just waving at my little one.
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. And, of course, we hope to see you in person sometime soon. We hope you enjoy your time up in Maryland with your family. And, of course, look forward to talking with you again soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, guys.